This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime edition.
The okay sign is being appropriate, like the okay, like I'm okay.
Oh, that is
being
white power now.
Yeah, white power.
Yeah.
Why are
Well, okay, so it's white and it looks like a piece of white power.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to do is like
Jesus.
innocent, like
Oh God, do you know how often I do it at the restaurant? Oh no!
I'm not
I
an
just
okay guy.
realized
I'm more of
that.
a thumbs up.
I do thumbs up.
I'm a pointer.
I'll do that.
Someone do
Yeah,
finger
I'll do
guns
both.
sometimes.
I kind of walk up to because we get a lot of people that come in with that I cannot speak a word of English, and and it's
Just want those oysters on the
yeah,
half.
yeah, and I try my best, so I try to do a lot of smiling and hand signals. But I will literally, I'll go okay, like a question, and then I go yeah, but I start with the okay sign, and they are never an all white table. So now I feel fucking terrible.
That
Oh,
explains
no,
those,
I didn't even
that
think about
explains
it.
that 10% tip
It
in which you
showed up, and that's
you
why
were,
no one's
you were giving them
tipping.
great service. You were giving them, your timing was great too. You know, they just didn't
man.
appreciate
About
the
it.
Zig Heil right before the check.
Yeah,
You know?
Jesus. Bro time.
Bro
time.
Apocalypto is the shit, though.
I'll have to watch it.
You should, man. You should see Apocalypto.
Was that pre-Passion Christ? Was that
No, it was
post?
post. It was
Post, like-
this is when he's in his unlikable stage.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
so
is-
It was
so
his
this isn't-
follow-up to
okay, I was about
Passion.
to say.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
like after he like
And I'm sure there's
ranted
probably,
about the
I'm
Jewish
sure,
population.
I know,
and-
like,
Okay.
I know historically, I think he fucked up like a lot of stuff in that movie, like as far as like what tribe did what or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure the white man who thinks Jews are the problem probably didn't do his research on the indigenous
Movie is
people
not so
for
much-
that.
The
Yeah.
movie's
is
not so
right.
much about that, but
Yeah.
that movie is fucking. I think it's worth seeing. Again, it's exceptionally violent though, so it's like,
I don't. I could go without seeing
you
it.
can
Yeah.
go without
I go
exceptional
with
violence.
that. Yeah.
So when
You know,
you
if
just
I
won't
s-
watch a fucking action movie, RoboCop 2 is out.
No, if I stumble
RoboCop
upon
2
it,
is out. I need you
I'd
to-
watch RoboCop 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't want
need
it.
to
Yeah,
fucking-
it's
Need to, hey, see how passionate I get about that?
It's apocalyptic.
Depends
It's
on
like, I don't
the.
need to see that
So
shit.
like, I like
Apocalypto.
gore like in a way that's like not Saw or Hostile type gore, where it's just.
Saw was fucked up.
That was
where
kinda
it's like fucked up gore, but like
I saw the first one, and I think I saw the second one.
it's too much for me.
But there's
that
like 10, aren't there?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
gonna
there's
be
too many.
godly
I
about,
stopped
right?
it too.
Dude,
yeah,
like
I'm all
more
set.
Saws than Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, dude. That will fill up that.
I'm gonna tap out on that jigsaw. I'm all set.
Yeah, no.
Was
I'm
it the
good.
second one where she had to reach into like the pile of needles?
Yep.
You're like, oh,
Yep.
fuck.
Not even reach
man.
in. She got thrown in. And I saw
How does
a.
one procure a room full of needles?
Here's the thing. I saw a behind the
Work for
scenes
a medical
clip
disposal place?
on how all the production assistants had to make that. They had to buy thousands and thousands of actual syringes, take all the actual needles off, and then make silicone tips and then put them on manually. And they said it was probably
Shit.
hundreds of thousands of needles, and they're like, we were expecting to fill the entire pit with what we got, and it was just barely enough, so they had to plump up the bottom a little bit.
Holy
They
shit,
They
that's
just
crazy.
shush up the bass, if you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, that's it. You know, it's like you see all these cool things, and you know, some of this is like computer graphics and computer generated shit. But some of the
But
stuff
that's
that
pre
isn't,
that, yeah.
it's like, holy Christ! Like you made that shit.
There
right?
was like
It's
a line.
wow.
It was a video of like just a line of PAs just taking needles out and putting silicone syringes on, just like a fucking
Wow.
See, that's
assembly
the thing
line.
is, like with all the fucking, I don't watch any new movies and shit. Like I
Yeah.
know, I enjoyed the second Deadpool. I'll see the third one, but I don't really give a shit about all those Marvel movies, which is just all green screen. But it's just like they don't film anything anymore, and it's.
Yeah.
I can't really watch a lot of the classic films, you know, shit that they're colorizing and stuff, where they like, wow, you got 1,000 people to move that.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
like,
right,
like
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like some of these like fucking like Cleopatra and some of these old
Oh,
school movies
yeah.
where they do just like this was the biggest scene ever shot, and it's like, holy shit,
Yeah.
these are all actors right
Uh-huh.
here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
This is a stadium full of not extras,
Yep.
actors.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts what they can do. Like what. You know,
What
where
they
we-
did,
what
what
they
they
did,
Yeah.
where we're
I
at
don't
now.
Think, I don't think you could do that now because it's just.
Oh, I
you would
think
just-
movies are dead.
Well,
I
it's
think
just
we're
like-
at the death rattle
it
of
would get
movies.
ruined. Somebody else would be, tweeting out while you couldn't get 100,000 people to not be on their phones.
Right.
Well, and you'd have to pay them all, which
Oh,
I'm sure
yeah.
back then they did not pay them as they should.
Oh, no,
which
dude,
is why they're
fucking-
trying to do the AI
Dude,
stuff.
Lunchable and a Capri Sun, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I
You're-
think that's. I mean, it's interesting that you know not only the movie, television, entertainment industry is like got on the fritz right now, but also the music industry. The
All
music industry,
artistic
all the artistic
theater.
But it's
don't get me fucking started on
well,
live
I think
theater.
it's almost like it has to go to the biggest,
I'll have to
one of
take
the
your word
biggest
on that.
revenue centers that we have.
Yeah.
To show what the impact of what we're calling artificial intelligence will have, right?
Yeah.
So, it's just an extra. We'll scan your body. We'll give you $1,000. It'll be great, but then we're going to use your likeness for the rest of humanity
And not pay you.
and not pay you any royalties for that,
Yeah.
right? Now the interesting thing with Spotify that I've been hearing a lot about is there's playlists now that people have made that these are all the same songs. They're called These Are All the Same Songs, and they're literally songs that are all almost exactly the same, and they're basically made. And when I'm doing the research on it, they're basically made by AI that Spotify has employed this AI to create songs that are somewhat pleasing but lo-fi-ish type music, so they don't have to pay royalties to the
Right.
people that already aren't getting royalties, right? So it's just like, it's interesting like how all of this is starting to implode,
Yeah.
and to see what's next, because art's not going away.
I mean, is
No.
implode implode might not be the right word.
I think it's
'cause
the delivery process, or the payment process, or
Yeah.
the
So,
reconciliation process.
I think of the idea of like okay, if the alien we get into this fucking aliens among us, all that shit, whatever, blah blah blah.
Alien it up, man. Love it.
Cool.
Yep.
Like in the '90s,
You're in a safe place.
Yes, this is a
Robin.
safe
in the
place.
80s or in the 90s, you're like, okay, we need to make a time capsule that shows this is what fucking culture is in,
Right,
in the
yeah,
world,
yeah.
and it'll be like fucking Nirvana and fucking Die Hard or whatever.
Right,
And
yeah,
it's just
totally.
like now it's just like auto-tune mumble rap and green screen movies.
Yeah.
It's like, holy fuck, we're good. I don't think we need to worry about Independence Day. We don't have anything they want.
Well, I can't wait to be abducted. I really
I can't
hope.
wait.
I don't see me going a different way, right?
No.
I don't see me
Abducted.
living.
That's my only option.
I see us
That's
actually
my
all just
retirement
dying
plan.
and decaying in the ground, but maybe that's just a little too cynical.
Well, that's cool. No, that's fine. I mean, but that's the beauty of the humanity. Like, you can have your own opinion on the way you think things are. I'm gonna have my opinion.
I think
and it's not an
dreams-
opinion. I'm saying I see myself, human being Adam, being
Yeah.
abducted. I don't see myself leaving this world in a box, in a spiritual ascension.
I hope
in a
you
godly
manifest
thing.
that. I hope that comes to
I think
fruition.
I'm just gonna get abducted.
I
one day.
love
It's
that.
gonna be
One
like,
day, Adam's gonna be like, "I'm gonna go do a sound bath in the woods," and then never come back.
Did you ever see that movie?
And then I will
Fire
say,
in the Sky?
"He finally did it. He
Yeah.
finally did
Right.
it. He manifested it."
and then I'll send for you guys.
Please, can you? Can you?
You won't be able to
please?
find me. I'll be in a
First
darkness
stop,
retreat
send them
somewhere in
directly to
fucking
me.
Eugene, Oregon. Just
Please.
like, we cannot contact him. He's doing a darkness retreat.
You know how many
Yeah.
times I've reached out to the aliens while I was in my darkness retreat?
Fuck
Yeah,
dude,
you saw
I
that
would-
Erica
I would
Badu
reach out
clip,
to
right?
all
Where she's
kinds
like,
of
"I've
shit.
done everything right. Why aren't they coming to me?"
Like, please. Oh, that's where I lost hope, because if you're not going to take somebody as dope as Erica Badu,
She's
you're not going to take
she's
me.
the closest thing to an alien. All respect. All
Yeah.
respect.
There's a character, if you will, that pops up in different cultures, different spiritualities, different all this like throughout lineages of time, and in the Buddhist tradition, it's called a Heyoka. And basically, what this person so a Heyoka, it would be a jackal in like the indigenous traditions, or in the idea of the archetypes would be like the trickster. But basically,
Skinwalker?
No, not Skinwalkers.
Okay.
No. Yeah, that's
That's another.
No, but what this is, the Heyoka, is the idea that they are purposefully going against humanity to show how ridiculous humanity is, and to show how serious we might be taking ourselves sometimes. And so Erica Badu, in my opinion, is a Heyoka of our time.
Absolutely.
Because she just wears, like, the other day I saw her wearing front and back shoes.
Yes.
Like, shoes that looked like front shoes from the back and from the front. They were just double-sided front shoes.
She's like, "Do y'all see the boundaries you're setting yourself in? How
It was
ridiculous
just
you
like,
are?" Yeah.
Okay, cool. Fucking, there you go, Miss Heyoka.
And she's
I just
she's
fucking
like,
love it. It's like Adam's like the other day I saw her a photo of her wearing front back shoes, like front shoes. But I'm like, so she's got custom expensive ass trippy ass shoes.
Yeah,
like
yes.
that's amazing. I mean, it's kind of
I love that, but it's
front back shoes.
But
you
even
know-
any interview she's in, like they'll ask her questions that any other person would answer very like PC, logically, media
Right.
trained, and she will just give it to you straight and just with deadpan face and just show you how ridiculous that question was.
it kind of like, god damn it, we fucking have to sometimes now, because like, okay, so just throwing the topic out there that we talked about late last night. But I literally came across the fucking article about the U-turn signs being being homophobic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like,
in that particular area, though.
In that
so
area,
not
yeah.
inherently.
Not in general.
Yeah.
So I didn't even click on the link. I saw the photo.
Right.
And I've also saw a photo of a similar sign like this. And again, I'm not the homophobe thing. And then I'm willing to bet that's all prostitution related because that was a time sign for no U-turns from midnight to 5 a.m.
It was also no cruising. So basically,
exactly.
it was in the Silver Lake neighborhood.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, since it's Pride Month, I'll take over.
Please.
Even though I just learned about it last night. So they would post these signs in certain parts of the Silver Lake neighborhood, like in a sign where there shouldn't a U-turn would not apply, but it was basically a sign for gay men you are not welcome in this neighborhood. So no cruising, no U-turns between midnight 6 a.m. kind of thing.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it was it was a wink, wink, nod, nod. You're not welcome here, but we're going to use legal traffic signs to do that, and so we're not going to be able to,
So the context I saw, the street sign that I saw, and this was on Reddit like probably 2-3 weeks ago, was no right turns on this street between like fucking midnight and 6 a.m. And I guess it was right by the Navy base in San Diego and Point Loma where all the fucking guys go to pick up fucking hookers and all that shit.
Yeah.
So I literally thought that that's what that was.
It's the same idea. It just for
The
gay
cruising.
men for cruising.
Since we're on the hot topic, did you hear about Chief Diaz? Seattle chief, the former police chief.
Mandy literally yelled it at me as I was leaving this morning to come
didn't
here
hear
about he moved to Texas and now.
No,
is that
okay, so
the
Chief
police
Diaz,
chief?
he's the one who got kicked out of the Seattle police probably about last week or whatever. He was ousted because, there was 4 female officers came out and said there's this shitty culture there, harassment, fucking...
Shocking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right,
Everything I would fucking believe again, and so he hired some people to fucking go look into it, and then they looked into it. It was like, yeah, and he's like, all right, well, fuck that study.
Yeah.
But anyway, they finally got rid of him. Well, he went on a conservative talk show on Monday, and he's like, did the Kevin Spacey defense, like I couldn't harass these women because I'm a gay Latino male. It's like, I appreciate that. It's like, cool. It doesn't mean you can't be a fucking asshole too.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
And
It's
now,
like, what are we defining? It's like, yeah, you might be not trying to put their hand on your dick. I'll give you that, but it's like, what are we going to define as harassment?
Yeah. And also, people forget that, sexual assault and rape is not about sexuality. It's about power.
Yeah.
So I don't give a fuck if you're still doing those things. You're not doing it for sexual pleasure.
Yeah.
You're doing it for power.
Yeah.
So
He chose a conservative
point.
talk radio
and
shows, too.
he's trying to get a job in Texas now, apparently.
Austin, yeah, he's going to he threw his name in the hat.
Ugh.
You better call your connects with the city council down in Austin.
I already did. Yeah.
Oh, already.
did.
Thank you, Robin. That's actually why I have the laptop open.
God damn, man.
Yeah, it's just current events. This will be really applicable in 6 months when
when
this
we air
shit
it.
drops.
Yeah.
When this shit drops the Popeyes Mega Mix fucking podcast on Patreon.
But what else? What else is out there like that?
I was
that's
looking
That's what
up-
really just gets me. It's like, what the fuck else are we placating to, or don't even really understand what's going on, and just have just been okay with now, and
There are phrases that because I was refreshing my memory last night because I'd come across a lot of videos with historical things for long time no see. That's something that we say to each other all the
Okay,
time,
yep,
right?
yep.
So that was originally printed in a newspaper it was making fun of the broken English of Native Americans. So that was a thing that was used in hatred, but now it's just such a harmless thing that we don't even think about. Also, cakewalk dates back to slavery.
Yeah.
That was the thing that the slaves did, and
What was he?
so it's so the phrase cakewalk. It was a thing that the slaves had to do for the plantation owners, and the winner got a cake.
Oh, that's some shit.
And there was another one called "No Can Do." That was another one of making
we gotta
fun of
cancel
broken
Hall &
English.
Oates now?
Yeah,
God damn it, man.
making fun of Asian broken English. And so, but in my brain, I was like, okay, all these things have such hatred-filled, racist, homophobic background, all these things.
Right.
But we use them without that intention.
Right.
And it's so far since that's happened, like there are phrases that still exist that we all know.
Like the C word in Europe versus here.
Yeah.
I
true.
want cunt to be adopted by
exactly.
Americans.
Yeah. No,
This
I
is a
appreciate
safe
you
place.
being
You
the
can
one
say
to say it.
cunt, and it's almost it makes me angry how angry that word makes people here
Oh, it's
because
such bullshit. It's like fuck you,
it's
dude.
almost
Yeah.
like a patriarchal move. Like it is.
Well, I'm a straight white man. I was like, "Fuck you, dude." But yeah, I get
Well,
your point.
it has such weight, and
Too
it
much.
is, but it
again-
shouldn't.
But it can
have
be
that
so
much
loving
weight.
too, depending on how you
love
use
it when English people say cunt or Australians say cunt.
Australians,
I mean,
Yeah,
that's like every other word of Brian
you
Cox.
cunts.
Yeah, Brian
Yeah.
Cox. That's
But I
like
think
literally-
maybe it's our accent. I don't know. It hits harder in America. I get why people don't like
But
it,
we
but
hard
like
see that shit.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's almost an ER at the end of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it is so
Right, yeah.
you
Yeah.
cunt, because it's almost like you cunt. You can't even feel it or hear
Yeah, it's
it, but
jovial.
here it's like you cunt, and you're like, boof.
It's like, ooh,
Yeah,
that's
that's
you
not
with its
spelled
own
the
I felt
same.
that with
That's
my
not
whole
sound.
chest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with Australians during an opening for a restaurant for almost 4 years, and because it was an Australian-based company, and yeah, when they first came over, we first started opening the restaurant in Redmond. There was like 3 or 4 of them came over with their opening team, young, about my age, maybe late 20s, mid 20s. And immediately they're like, "Hey, Adam, nice to meet you." Professional at first, all this that shit, and then I could hear them, the Australian cast, because they're all like friends and shit in the back. They're like, you can't, you can't," and I'm like, "No, you can't say that out loud." This is like 2008,
But it's,
and
like,
I'm just
almost
like,
endearing.
"Oh my god!" Exactly, it was.
Yeah.
But that culture kind of took over, and I had to stop myself from saying the word "cunt" because I got a little out of control because I was saying that a
Yeah.
lot. Because it's like it was a new word, and I love to cuss, and I was like,
Yeah.
you fucking cunt," and
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh no, it's coming
I
out like in
love it.
meetings and shit,"
I wish as a people, as women, I feel like if we reclaimed cunt, it would be the first step towards progress.
Ah, I like that.
And I feel like that's what people have a problem with, is that they associate it with derogatory towards women. And I feel like there are words that some groups can use, obviously, that others can't.
Right.
And I feel like maybe this is the one thing that women could use all the time, and being like, I can say it, but you can't.
So where are you at with how loaded that word is, with how not loaded the word bitch is, and how it's almost used like on Saturday Night Live,
feel
for
like-
instance?
yeah.
Because they can get away with it. I feel like any opportunity a female has to say bitch on Saturday Night Live, she does.
Yes.
Like,
Well, and also, bitch is like a term of endearment in friends group.
Yes,
Like,
Robin, what are you not understanding?
Yes.
As someone who swears all the fucking time, I don't know.
like bitch to me is not, because bitch can be used.
That used to have a lot more weight 20 years ago.
Of course, and
Yeah.
it always is the
Oh,
intention
bitch.
behind when you're using it. So if a guy is screaming at me on the street and calling me you fucking bitch, that is going to hit differently than
That
if me and my
still
friend are
slaps
sitting on
like
the
Rage
couch
Against the
laughing at
Machine.
something and I
Yeah.
go bitch.
Right.
Like that is there is bitch. Like, have you heard this? Like
Oh,
there
yeah.
are tons of different ways to
I think
use that word.
Key and Peele.
They did a sketch on
I
that,
said
didn't they?
bitch.
Yeah.
They definitely made that a lot more acceptable.
Yeah.
I love that sketch. It's one of my favorite. I looked into the windows of her soul.
And I said-
To optics. That where he hugs the tree to hide.
Yeah.
So good.
I love it, dude. I love Key and Peele. What about okay, so this is one that was interesting to me, was axe versus ask.
Okay, so there was a video of a woman in a Lyft, and her Lyft driver was saying something about how black people say axe versus ask, and she was an English professor, and so she's sitting in the back brewing, and she goes into this whole not diatribe but a whole informational speech to him about AAVE, how it's an actual like it is a real language. There are courses taught on it, and it dates back to a lot of historical things. So like it's just a way of speaking.
It is,
So
totally.
I think that like there are a lot of things like that have a lot of nuance to it and
Yeah.
a lot more information behind it than we know. But yeah, AAVE is a legitimate
Yeah.
form of the English language.
Well, it's interesting because, like, when I hear that argument, that ax versus ask,
Yeah.
most black people talk like that, and blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
it sounds ignorant, and I just think it's stupid because,
Right.
yeah, like you said, that there's deep roots to that variation of speech.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, like, it usually gets tied to, like, the idea of what, like, eugenics is, like the study of races, right? Like, in even eugenics that's put out there to try to, like, squash the idea of eugenics is still usually used in the idea of, like, white power kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was just about to say, anytime I hear the word eugenics, I think of Nazis.
Yes, exactly.
it's
right.
100%.
So is that not
Well, it's
negative? I always assume eugenics is negative.
It's not,
And I
meant
don't
to
know
be,
anything,
right.
like,
there
yeah.
there are studies out there, there are books out there, there are scientists out there that are trying to prove that there is not a difference through the eugenics studies that they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But there is still a field of eugenics, whether it's to prove or disprove it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use that study as saying, like, hey, there are differences, like
Service
like
justification.
I don't know if you heard this growing up, but that black people have an extra bone in their foot,
My
like
mom
shit like that, right?
told me that.
But the funny thing is, the
Fuck, I've
interesting
never heard that.
My mom, because
Yeah.
we were
Well,
watching like a
people-
basketball game, and they're like, they jump higher because they have an extra bone in their foot.
Right. Yeah, there's got to be a reason they can be better.
Right. And in my brain, I was like, oh, like I was 8 or something like
Extra
that. And
bone in the
Well,
Yes.
no, but here's the thing, though. Okay, now hold on. But so my roommate Colleen, my dear friend of mine, Colleen, you guys both know,
Mm-hmm.
she had to go in for surgery. She broke her foot in when she was 20, so like many years ago. She had to go in for surgery, and when they were in there, the doctor found what he thought was an extra bone in her foot and removed that, and now her foot is extremely fucked up because the doctor's like, oh, you have an extra bone that we don't know about. We'll just take that out because you don't need that. Throw it in the garbage. And now her entire foot is fucked up, and it's completely like falling apart. She had to get her tendons sewed back together like last year because her big toe is migrating away from her
Oh,
foot, right?
my
And so
God.
it's not just a race, right? And that's what eugenics tries to prove, but again, it gets taken and gets misconstrued as arguments for the alt-right and the
Yeah.
the white power movements and all this bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So there are like what's her name? Angela Serrani, I think her name is. She wrote a book called Superior not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Great fucking book. Really debunks like the ideas of what people try to take eugenic studies towards.
Mm-hmm.
But again, she even makes the point. She's like, people will still take information from this book to prove their side of what they want because that's what we do. We find
Yeah.
the information, we fit it to our narrative.
we do it with religious texts all the time.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. But it was but yeah, so eugenics is a very interesting thing for me. Like I kind of keep like an ear open for what the studies are. But just so I can see how it's being used as a rally cry.
Yeah,
Or
a
as
dog whistle.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? So it's just like the more you kind of know, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But you'd mentioned companies that are out there that are kind of blatantly racist in a way, right? Lululemon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah, right. So the company owner basically, found the words that Asian people had the hardest time saying, which is L, things that start with an L.
Mm-hmm.
So he made the company how they would say Lululemon.
Yeah.
Because he is
Piece of
racist
shit.
against Asian people, right?
Yeah.
But still, like a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, because
throw
people
their
don't
money
know.
At him.
Yeah.
They fucking do know. This is widely known now. This is like out
I
in
didn't know
public.
until you brought it up later. You know what I mean? Though, like I had
wouldn't
no
say
idea.
that's widely known. I mean, I'd say it's widely known in the yoga community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
But I mean, it's yoga clothing.
yeah, and it's a fair point.
I would
you
say
know,
like sweatshops and Nike shoes. I would say that's more widely known. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah,
would say
yeah.
yoga's again. It's
Like
more
that-
on the
like-
conscience because I'm dating a yoga teacher as well. So
Yeah.
there's that. But
Well,
it's just
yeah,
like,
and
she knew that shit too. I'm like, oh, okay.
I had no fucking clue
Yeah,
about
it's
that. I
like-
knew he was a piece of shit, but I thought it was because, like, oh, he only does up to this size, and there's no plus size, and he's
Yeah,
shitty
that
to his
too,
employees.
yeah.
Like, all of that stuff I knew, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Because it's just not in my circle.
Reducing your skews is a whole nother conversation, guys. We don't need to
did you see that sketch on SNL? I know you don't watch SNL, Robin.
Actually,
but-
no, I do. Because
Okay.
I try to see. why the musical acts are on there. First of all, I've seen like 2 good
cool.
ones in
Okay.
like a year and a half.
All right,
Chris
nice.
Stapleton's probably one of the better ones I've seen on,
great.
on like, because again, I'm like, okay, so this is the new hot shit. Fucking wow me.
Yeah.
Fucking wow me as a jaded.
It is the one thing I don't watch on SNL.
Is the
I
music?
always fast forward, even if it's an artist I like. I'm like, that's not what I'm here
Weekend
for.
Update makes me laugh, but
Yeah,
but
that's my
the
favorite
thing
part.
is about that is like that's the only thing they do. So it's like cool. You guys kind of get to show up on a fucking Friday afternoon, kick your feet up, do the funniest part,
Right,
kick it- I mean, hey,
yeah.
kudos to you that
Yeah, you
you
don't
know
have to do
the
any
show's
costume changes and
the
shit.
show
Yeah.
is at the point now where they're like, yeah, whatever you want, guys. Whatever you want.
Speaking, I'm sorry, are you done with
I
your
don't give a
point?
fuck. Yeah,
Okay,
go
great. Great. I'm just gonna jump right in. Okay, so there is this theory going around TikTok that the bongo player for the Saturday Night Live band, her
Okay.
name is what's her name? Last name is Naranjo. His first name starts with a J. Can't remember. Let me look it up real quick. Anyway, so she's the bongo or one of the percussionists for the Saturday Night Live band.
Yeah.
She's been in that band for 29 years.
Okay. Since G.E. Smith was there.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, G. Smith, bro.
She-
good job.
She, every Saturday Night Live, is present during the opening, credits, like, whoa, and your host is blah, blah, blah. And the host comes through the door, right?
Okay.
She's the first person right next
Yeah.
to the door. So they film the host coming down to center stage, and then they cut to the audience. And every time they cut back to the host, she's gone. Every time. She's the only one of the band that leaves the stage. And she leaves the stage and stays in the corner. And you can kind of see her sometimes that she's just in the corner.
Okay.
And so people have been arguing like, oh, it's a line of sight issue. And it's like, no, because everyone else is in absolute line of sight. There is that saxophone player that we all know that's always right behind the head of that guy. There's
Yeah.
another percussionist on the other side of the stage that stays.
There's the big black dude who plays bass or guitar, who sits back there.
we all
Yep,
know the Saturday
yep.
Night Live band.
Yeah.
She is the only one that leaves the stage, and no one knows why. And she's been doing it every episode for 29 years. And
It's 'cause the
then,
monologues aren't that funny.
no, I don't know why.
Hi, yo, shots fired.
Hey,
I don't know why. And so there's this whole viral thing of like justice for Naranjo. And they did a whole PowerPoint presentation and showed clips of it. And going back all the way to early 2000s, there's, every clip of her, she leaves the stage. And then they're like in the dress rehearsal because they're like, we go to tapings of Saturday Night Live all the time. She stays there the whole time for the dress rehearsal. It's only for the live taping that she leaves the stage.
Is it just when the cameras are on?
No, because it's not even when the cameras are on. It's because she is on stage as the host is walking down stage, right? So she is present and you were able to see her
Okay, yeah, okay.
walking. Valerie D. Naranjo is her name. Justice for Valerie D. Naranjo is the viral TikTok thing that I found. So she's present until the audience
I gotta
pan.
recycle and keep my mind on this shit.
It
a
is-
fucking
yes.
bongo player that's like, I don't like standing
It is
there. I
it
get
is
bored
a-
and I had to pee after I fucking jammed the bongos for 10 minutes and I just started doing that while
Yeah.
everyone else sat there and had to hold their pee. Could be something as simple as that. And these are our 11 listeners right now.
Not
are
even,
gonna-
not even holding. It's just like, why is she the only one though? And it's consistent. I just want
fucking
answers.
amazing.
And people are like, oh,
That's
maybe
like some
it's her
Tyler
choice.
Durden shit, you know, like
It
some
is.
Fight Club.
Was she
like,
even there in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think like, maybe she's from a culture that thinks that like, cameras take your souls or something.
But she's
But if she's like there when you first
Yeah.
come out, yeah, that's interesting.
and they thought it was possibly a personal choice, but they had someone come in to sub for her during an episode.
Jesus, this is going deep.
And
pretty deep,
yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty extensive, the PowerPoint that this guy puts on. So they had a guest percussionist. I can't remember his name, but someone came in to.
Oh, it's
to
important
do the-
we know this person's
Yeah,
name.
totally, yes.
He left at the same time too.
So why don't we just go to Lorne Michaels? Or
No
one
one
of
at
the,
SNL has commented on it.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
like whoever's producing.
And out of all the line of
What does
sight,
G.E. Smith
she's
have
kind
to
of
say?
the least. She's kind of the least one. That's like there's people in front. There's people at the same level she is. There's people more well lit than she is
we
that
need
are
to
not
go back
exiting
and
the
see
stage.
what Tito Puente did when he was on that stage.
So next time you watch SNL, look for her.
I'll watch
She's
that. That's
She
great.
is on the right side of the screen,
Okay.
right by the door. When the host walks out, you will see her when the host walks out. You will
Yeah.
see her when they walk to the center stage, and then they'll pan to the audience,
Best shit
and she
is
will be gone.
I'm gonna watch this, and she's just gonna be fucking chilling there while Matthew McConaughey strokes it for fucking 7 minutes. Like, yeah, I did Sahara.
Remember
Dude.
Sahara?
So our friends live in Hawaii. Matthew McConaughey story.
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
I kind of love him.
I do too. I
kinda
appreciate.
love
it.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking he's rad.
Yeah, I
he
kinda
seems like
think
he
he
seems like a
is.
cool guy.
Yeah. I'm not gonna
Like
fucking
Woody
read his
Harrelson.
book.
He
Do we want to read
borders
his
on
book?
the line.
I love Woody Harrelson.
You know, just
Yeah.
like
Love Woody
cool
Harrelson.
dudes to hang out with,
Yeah.
right? So our friends live
Smokes
in Hawaii.
a lot of weed, that Woody
he does.
Harrelson.
I'd love to hang out with Woody Harrelson.
McConaughey too, probably.
Yeah. Actually, I heard the weed budget on the
True
True Detectives was crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if
no,
the comedian made that joke or not, but it was really
Yeah.
funny.
Well, no, Woody Harrelson smokes like weed he's like Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Which
like
is
Willie
awesome.
Nelson.
He
and
smokes
Snoop
to
Dogg.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
But so Matthew, so
a
our
blessed
friends,
life.
our friends live in Hawaii, and they are
Hawaii.
friends with Hawaii. Friends with Paul Mitchell, the Paul Mitchell family.
Awapui.
Oh, yes.
Awapui.
So they do the Paul
Shampoo.
Mitchell hair, shampoo, but also Patron tequila and shit like that, right?
Jean-Paul Jory.
So they're really
That's his
good
name.
friends, and there's they have a house called the Bali House there.
Yeah.
So at one point in time, he was the patriarch of the family was in Bali and was like, I like that house, but I like it in Hawaii. So he found the person that like built this house, this intricately hand carved wooden house, hired them to dismantle it and then ship it over to Hawaii, rebuild it. Right. So our friend's dad is the caretaker of this house. Since it's all
Dream
wood
job.
and it's on the beach, it needs the wood needs to be oiled constantly. So that's what he does. He just goes around all year long,
Buff the wood,
oiling wood,
buff the wood.
in different areas of the place, right? And it's just this massive mansion of a house, right, called the Bali House. So during COVID, Matthew McConaughey stayed there for a little while. Yeah, because they're not always there, so they rent it out to all these different people. So, like when we stay there, we're like, oh, we're sleeping with Matthew McConaughey,
Yeah.
which is kind of fucking cool, right? But so while COVID's going on, somebody wanted to interview Matthew McConaughey, so he's like, called up our friend's family and was like, hey, do you care if I do this at the house? Because the caretaker, and he's like, yeah, that's fine, no big deal. And then so the interview happened. When they saw the interview, Matthew McConaughey chose to do the interview not from this multi-million dollar house, right? Not from this house. He went to my friend's dad's beach shack, where he sleeps, which is way separate on the beach, literally gets flooded by morning tides,
Yeah.
to do it from his bed. And so my friend's dad was like watching the interview and was like, why is Matthew McConaughey on my bed? What the fuck is going on? He's like this $1 million house in the background, and then Matthew McConaughey's like, shirt open, like, yeah, bro, it's just Matthew McConaughey. It's like, well, that makes a lot of sense because that's totally more his vibe.
That's
but
way
like,
more his. I
holy
was
shit,
just about to
man.
say,
Well, it's also
seeing
got
Matthew
that
McConaughey in a
Ashton
mansion
Kutcher.
is almost disarming. I expect him on a shack
Well, it's
on
like
the
that.
water.
yeah.
Well, it's like that Mila Kunis Ashton Kutcher apology when they went on that. So when Masterson, that fucking shithead from that '70s show, got arrested.
Oh, and they
They
backed
went.
him up
They're
in
like,
court.
"Hey, yo, he's an okay guy.
Yeah.
Go easy on him." And they're like, "Oh, that's a shitty thing to say."
Yeah.
So then they
Yeah.
did an apology video on like the most nondescript wall they had in their fucking palatial empire mansion or
Right.
whatever, and it was like off the fucking pool, and it's just like, we are really sorry, It's like you can't do it in front of
We
the
are
fucking.
we are but common folk. We don't
We
know
have-
what we
have
do.
monotone walls behind
Please.
us. We are
do
but
not know what we do. I'm
we
so
are but
sorry.
common folk.
Dude, when I used to deliver pizzas back in the day, high as shit, right? I'd smoke a lot of
Zaz.
blood,
Slinging those
but there's one time I pulled up to this house. It was a big ass neighborhood, like a Medina-esque type neighborhood.
Yeah.
Maybe not that to that level, but still big ass fucking house
Ballin'.
and shit down in Texas. And I walk up to this mansion of a house and I knock on the door. I'm a little 18-year-old little stoner kid, right? And dude answered the door. And behind him was, I don't even know how big the wall was, but all I could see was that wall, and it was a fish tank. And it was just all of it. And I was like, what the fuck is this,
The
man?
maintenance cost.
Oh,
on a
saltwater
fucking
tank.
saltwater
Saltwater-
tank
Oh,
that
That's why
big.
Rick Ross mows his own grass. It takes him 5 hours a week to do it because he
Ah,
lives
fuck
on
up.
huge acreage. So he literally
love
5.5 hours
good.
a
I
day.
love that.
He bought Vander Holyfield's old house, and Vander spent like $1 million a year on
Yeah.
landscaping because it's a big fucking thing.
He's like, fuck you, I'm gonna get on
Rick
this John
Ross
Deere
said
doing my damn
5.5
self.
hours a week.
I bet it's meditative.
That's what he says.
wow. I mean, shit. I mean,
The
honestly,
maintenance cost. I love how you're like this big fish
Literally
tank,
the
and you're like,
first thing I thought of.
You're cleaning chemicals alone.
Oh
Adam.
my god, the energy,
The bromine tablets.
Oh,
see, that's a
feeding
happy
for that
like,
type of fish.
a lot of this shit is cool, but like I don't want to. I just want to enjoy the thing. It's like I want to go to the friend that has the boat. I don't want to own the boat.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, like-
I am a freeloader and unapologetically so because
Right.
I want friends of mine that have those things, but I do not want to take care of any
Yep.
of that stuff.
Fuck
Yep.
all that, man.
Yeah, my buddy Jeff has he's always loved boating. He's always like had like some kind of a boat of some sort just to put in the water. But within the past couple of years, he retired and he joined a boat club, and so he's able to there's like
I've thought
at
about
least-
joining one of those.
Yeah, and so it's about a car payment. Like
Yeah.
two
So you
fifty,
can
300.
like borrow a ski boat and go
Oh,
fucking water
my
ski.
friend has
Anywhere
that,
you want.
yeah.
So
Wow.
there's like 3 or 4 different places in this area alone, like Edmonds, Mukilteo, blah blah blah. But all across the United States, there's people that are those companies part of this boat club. So he can say, "Hey, I'm going to go to fucking
Tahoe.
So it's a
Tahoe, right?
timeshare for
For
boats.
boats, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he uses it all the time. Like in the
get a
winter.
license, then you got to learn how to drive
do.
a
Most
boat.
people don't.
You got,
Yeah,
and
it's-
if I'm driving, I'm the one that can't have fun and party on the
Yeah.
boat.
Why don't
And
But
get
they
fucked up
like
anymore.
gas that shit up for you. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. They like dock it, they gas it up, they clean it, they do all that stuff. You literally just like call up, be like, "Hey, I'm going to show up on Tuesday at 4. I need a boat that's going to go in the Sound, and I'd like it to
oh,
have
so
a."
they drive it?
No,
Like the
no,
company
no.
does?
They,
Oh.
No, you drive it.
Got it.
But like, you don't have to fill it up. You don't have to do any of that shit. Like, you literally just like roll up there to the spot. They already got it docked. You just put the keys in, drive away, and
And
then
put
you
it back.
drive back.
And they
That's
fill it up.
Oh shit, that's what you guys have been doing when you've been going out on jet
Yeah.
boats? It's like literally like fucking valet boat.
100%, man.
Wow,
It's
I didn't
fucking
realize
great,
it was
man.
that cool. 'Cause
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
go wakeboarding so bad, and that's just like you'd have to throw a couple hundred at that,
Yeah, it's great.
or
man.
you'd have to befriend. Like I need to reconnect with my buddy who's got a boat, but it's so fucking transparent. It's so fucking
You only
transparent.
call
Especially in
him
the
July
summertime.
5th.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Or July 1st.
No,
Yeah.
fucking
What are
June
you doing?
28th.
So,
Hey,
yeah.
any plans next week?
Oh,
Any
hey,
plans?
I
Oh,
haven't seen you in a
I had no
while.
idea.
It's chilly out today,
weird.
huh?
I had
Yeah.
no idea it was July 4th next week. That's
Oh,
strange.
you're right.
Do you have a car?
Oh.
No. Find someone on your floor and become friends with them.
The weather's supposed to be gorgeous.
Gorge. You know, we could catch up on your boat.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You got a boat.
You got a boat.
forgot about that.
I mean, do you still have the boat?
Oh.
So in just my brief research and looking into these things that have been appropriated to hate signs, right?
Yeah.
Like the U-turn sign in California and that. The OK sign is being appropriate. Like the OK, like I'm okay.
Oh, that is
being
white power now.
Yeah, white power.
Yeah.
Why are
Well, okay, so it's white and it looks like a piece of white power.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to do is
Oh,
like
Jesus.
innocent,
Oh, fuck.
like
Oh God, do you know how often I do it at the restaurant? Oh no!
I'm not
I
an
just
okay guy.
realized
I'm more
that.
of a thumbs up.
I do thumbs up.
I'm a
So,
pointer.
I'll do that.
Someone do
Yeah,
finger
I'll do
guns
both.
sometimes.
I kind of walk up to because we get a lot of people that come in with that I cannot speak a word of English, and
yeah,
they
yeah.
and it's
Just
it-
want those oysters on the
yeah,
half.
yeah, and I try my best, so I try to do a lot of smiling and hand signals. But I will literally I'll go okay like a question, and then I go yeah, but I start with the okay sign, and they are never an all white table. So now I feel fucking terrible.
That
Oh,
explains
no,
those,
I didn't even
that
think about
explains
it.
that 10% tip in
It
which you
so does- that's
you
why
were,
no one's
you were giving them
tipping.
great service. You were giving them your timing was great too. You know, they just didn't
man.
appreciate
About
the
it.
Zig Heil right before the check.
Yeah,
You know,
Jesus.
the Jewish
Do
family
you
did
know
not
what the ASL sign for Nazi is?
Oh
No.
no.
Oh, I do actually. Yeah, I did see that.
Oh,
It's the sign
Yeah,
for
yeah,
Nazi.
yeah. The two fingers where the mustache for Hitler goes, and then the arm extended. Yeah, I did see
Yeah.
that. But okay, but I saw that. Yeah, I saw somebody sign that, and I was like, oh, no, no.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea, but I heard like they were like somebody was
fuck.
interpreting at whatever thing I was at, and somebody said Nazi, and they did the thing, and I was like,
So if you're signing if you're signing ASL, that is. But if like someone on the street were to do that, it would just be mayhem.
it would be mayhem.
So it's the same with the signs, where it's
Yeah.
like they can be totally nefarious, or they could be totally full of hatred,
Yeah.
or they could be innocuous for an okay, or also a sign of hate, and it's just like it's
yeah.
terrible.
Like, well, I mean, the swastika is the perfect example. The swastika was the Buddhist sign
Right.
for sun and peace, you know.
The
for
ultimate symbol.
Oh,
that has
yeah, no,
been-
there's a-
millennia.
yeah.
And then they took it, tilted it, and now it's
Yeah.
the biggest sign of hate
There's
that
a
we'll ever
photo I
have.
saw.
And they'll never be able to not be that now.
There was
That's
a
the other thing.
Female Canadian hockey team from like 1910. It was like the fucking like Montreal swastikas, and it's like, oh, wow, that looks really out of place now.
Oh, no.
Well, and it's interesting because like I have friends in the yoga and the healing communities that are trying to like reclaim these symbols and like to the
No,
best
it's
of
not
their
the fight
I don't
abilities.
know if you can.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's
that
the
one's-
thing. It's
that
like
one's a-
people are like, I have friends of mine that are throwing up these swastikas, and they're even called swastikas in the Buddhist traditions, and they're putting them up there, but not meaning it in that way.
I've
and I'm
seen
like,
them
hey,
in other cultures,
Hey,
like
I
when I've
support you,
traveled.
man.
Yeah, it's not tilted, but still, it's
in a country because I've seen them when I've gone to a lot of Eastern countries. They've
Yep.
been there around temples, and they've been that, and it's still like drawing. And I'm like, oh right, that's originally what it was, and it's a
this
little bit
temple's
different, whatever.
older than Hitler.
But like,
Yeah.
if
Imagine that.
but in the
Yeah.
United States or any country that is a Western country, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
In our lifetime, anyway.
Right.
Definitely
like
not in
maybe
Germany.
after the aliens come in a couple hundred millennia, maybe we can think about it. But like,
Aliens aren't coming, dude. Our like time capsule sucks now. Like, fuck it,
our
we're
windows
good.
closed.
I'm putting the vibe out there.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like Dumb and Dumber. I'm just sitting at the bar putting out the
Putting
vibes.
out the vibes.
Putting out the vibes.
That's
man.
a Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
I say that shit all the time.
Yeah,
I'm at the
it's when
bar.
they're at the gala dressed in the tuxedos.
And he's trying to get Lloyd's trying to get him to go talk to
when
the
they-
girl, and he's like, just tell her I'm at the bar. I'm gonna put out the vibes. Tell her I have a rapist wit.
Yeah.
That's my other
right.
favorite one.
Nice Hooters.
Yeah, nice.
My kid, my youngest kid, we took her on a Jim Carrey, old school Jim Carrey run.
Cable guy.
Not Cable Guy. Yeah.
Liar, liar, obviously.
Yeah, Liar. Yeah, Liar, the Ace
Because you
Venturas.
got big jugs.
All those, you know,
Big jugs.
the Dumb and Dumbers, and she fucking loves The Mask.
Dumb
you know,
and Dumbers
loves.
classic.
Nah, can't do
Love.
mask. Can't do mask.
I still think The Mask held up.
No.
I watched it recently. I've watched it actually multiple times last year.
boom
If
chicky
you
chicky
look
boom.
at it purely from
I still
a
love that.
physical comedic standpoint,
Ip kiss your ass goodbye. No, I mean there's pockets of good shit. You know, oh those pajamas, those were stolen. Someone stole your pajamas. The fucking otter off Animal House. Someone stole your pajamas.
Right? Yeah.
Hey, Paula.
Oh, I fucking love that movie, man.
Dude, I can't do mask, man. Wait. So you gatekeeped Cable Guy? You're like, whoa, you're not ready for that.
No,
Well-
we just hadn't made it there yet. No, but my so Harper, my youngest, is finally she's 15 now, and you know I respect her mother's desires to either allow or not allow.
Yeah, dude, don't just
certain
like, hey,
things.
come over to Dad's
Yeah,
house.
I'm
Let's
gonna
watch
fuck your shit
fucking
up.
Yeah,
Seven.
right, you know,
We're gonna watch
totally.
Faces of Death.
Get it, right?
Yeah.
Apocalypto.
And but her mom had this hard thing about Deadpool. Like she could watch all the Marvel movies, all the X-Men stuff, but Deadpool's a little graphic, a little
Yeah.
little
It's a little
sexual.
dark too.
You know?
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like I get it, cool.
Yeah.
You know, I respect your wishes. You know, but Hearts would always be like, oh, I can't wait to watch Deadpool because
Yeah.
like she loves Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
we just watched If not too long ago, Imaginary Friends.
Yeah, you were
great
saying it was
movie.
great, yeah.
So the other day she was in town and Peyton was staying at a friend's house, and so it was just me and Harps kicking it. And she looks at me all big eyed on the couch. She sat down like she just remembers something. She's like, Mom said I could watch Deadpool. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I watched the first one last night with Peyton. Can we watch the second one tonight? I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yes.
So I
That's
got to
good.
watch. I got to watch Deadpool with Harps. It was so good to
love
watch
that.
her, like, because she was so excited. And I love those movies. I forget how funny the Deadpool movies are.
Yeah,
like
the
when
first
he's
one's fucking hilarious. The first
It is-
line in the movie is him like popping up from behind the car when they're shit. Hey,
well, I love when he like in the second movie loses his lower half when he splits himself in half.
Yeah.
And then he's regenerating the bottom half while he's sitting next to this blind the blind older lady.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody starts coming in and he's just sitting there with his little baby legs. And then my favorite line is like, I can't concentrate with you over here Winnie Poohing it. Winnie the Poohing it. And I'm like, oh, the Winnie the Pooh reference were just the shirt and no pants.
It is
It's such
peak
a
Ryan Reynolds
funny
as Deadpool.
fucking-
Like it's Ryan Reynolds doing the best version of Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. Like
Yeah,
I fell in
it's
love with him with
incredible.
Waiting. Like Waiting was like
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 'cause
our
we were all-
generation, that's what we knew him from.
okay, actually,
or
okay.
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
Do you know that's based on fucking Burt Kirshner?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That movie is
I don't know who that
based
is.
on the fucking big fat comedian who's like, I
Two
drink
Bears,
all
One
fuck
Cave.
yeah, I drink
He
I
did
get
the
shit faced.
Russian mafia
really? Yeah.
joke. Or,
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
shit.
Van Wilder is based on him. There was like an article written about by Maxim or fucking like Stuff magazine back in
yeah.
the day.
So he has that, and then also that Russian
Yeah,
mafia thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't be both that person. You
Like,
can't have
he's-
both those experiences in one lifetime.
Apparently, he still hasn't seen Van Wilder. He's waiting to watch it with Ryan Reynolds.
You can't.
I've met some pretty interesting people that have like their
Forrest Gump.
You've had
stories have
two
spanned.
movie-worthy, like full-length feature film worthy experiences in your lifetime, and you're not you're not even
I
in
mean,
your 60s.
if I haven't done it yet, but I haven't done a deep dive into how incredibly badass Paul Newman was. But
Yeah.
there are
Paul Newman
people.
was pretty badass, yeah.
There's examples. There are, and I'm not putting Bert Kirshner
Yeah.
in the same category.
He
as
doesn't
Paul-
really do it for me. I mean, there was one clip from Two Bears, One Cave that still makes me laugh is when he had his 64 ounce of like everyone
The
thought it was water.
Kool-Aid?
The
Yeah, he's
Kool-Aid
like,
gets me every
yeah,
time.
that is funny
That
as
one's
shit.
funny, but like it's I don't know. He's fine.
Yeah, a
He's
hydro
fine.
flask full of Kool-Aid.
That was pretty fucking
that was
good.
exceptionally
I
fun.
do like Bert Kushner.
Yeah.
There was a show that he had on Netflix for a little while. It was something about him in the cabin, and he was doing like healing stuff, and he'd invite in different like comedians and entertainers out there, and they would do like sweat lodges or like take mushrooms or. It was really fucking funny. It was just one season, but man,
Well,
it's
maybe I don't know enough about him.
really funny. It's
I
really
always
funny.
it's hard for me sometimes with some male comedians because I'm like I can't tell if you are problematic or not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
And then we'll find out later.
Tom
it's like,
Segura is also one that kind of toes
Yes.
the
Yeah,
line where I'm
totally.
like,
and then we
are
find
you
out later,
funny?
it's like, well, we've got hours and hours of these comments.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
the one that I am confident is Bill Burr, and every time I watch Bill Burr, I think of you.
I love Bill Burr.
I
Bill
think
Burr's
you are.
pretty
I think
goddamn
you are
funny.
alternate universe Bill Burr.
God, he
and that's
was-
the best compliment I
He
can
was
give
going
you.
off on. I was literally showed this to Tiffany yesterday. He was talking about it, but he's like, I was doing some landscaping, and the guy comes out and he's like, hey, I got a 38 gun. You want to go? There's a burned out car down the street. You want to go shoot it? And he goes, any other city, people are laughing their ass off because this is just a hilarious story. But in the South, you guys are all like, and? It's like,
Where's the
a
punchline?
stranger comes to me with a gun
Yeah.
and says, go shoot a car. And you guys are like, I was waiting for the comedy.
Yeah,
There's another
Bill Burr's
guy.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I
and
love Bill Burr.
I love his vibe where he really does not give a fuck, but in the best way. He's still like aggressive in his delivery.
It is funny.
but
He's rich
also-
as fuck, though. He can, like, it's like, dude, you're doing okay now.
He has no, like he talks like there's absolutely no consequences, but he never uses his platform that I've seen in a way that's like problematic. Like
No.
he just calls out everyone's bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like
when
Joe
he being
Rogan.
rude to other
Appreciate that so
comedians, he
much.
walked out and just shit on an entire crowd
And
in
he's got a
Philadelphia because he's like,
cool-ass
"Fuck you
wife.
guys!" Like they made one of his friends cry, like when he came off stage. So he just went out there and didn't do his bit. He just talked shit to the city of Philadelphia.
Wow, that's good for him. Brotherly love, huh?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Ugh.
There's a comedian I saw recently, and he was talking about he's a millennial, and he was like, you know, being a millennial, we look at millennials that didn't work in restaurants as people that dodged the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In Vietnam, it's like, we have whole sects, laid out, like which branch did you serve in, front of house or back of house?
Yeah.
Were you an all-nighter? Or did you guys close?
Yeah.
Bar,
Where you
restaurant?
stationed?
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
totally. I'm like, dude, that
Where
is
you stayed?
100%,
Yeah.
man. But it's funny because, like, I remember growing up saying to myself and probably to you guys, like, when I grow up, my kids will definitely work in restaurants because I want them to know what it's like.
Must.
They need to know. Now it's like, fuck no, I do not want you anywhere near a fucking restaurant.
Pretty bad.
Well, and I
Pretty
feel
bad.
like you have enough
Learn your
of
shit
a
somewhere
good
else.
relationship with your kids that you can teach them how to be a good customer
Yes.
without having to break their souls on
Yes,
the way to getting there.
definitely. And having, so their mother and myself both grew up in restaurants.
Yeah, so they-
they know. Yeah, they say please and thank you. They wait. They don't complain if things take a long time. They say, wow, they must be really busy right now.
Yeah.
It's not like, where's our food? You
Yeah.
know. So, but
Tipping.
But oh my god, yeah, that fucking I almost wet myself because I feel the same fucking way.
Yeah.
Yep, totally.
I do. Oh, so we had two guys come in yesterday. It's starting to be cruise ship season, so we get yeah, so we get
I'm so glad
everybody.
I don't work downtown
We
anymore.
had
Yeah.
a couple come in from Alabama, and they everything that we had was just nothing that they wanted. They wanted, all
that-
of the sausage. They wanted a Dr. Pepper. We don't have that. They wanted oyster crackers. We don't have that.
want
blah,
ketchup
blah, blah.
with their oysters.
Yeah. So and I get it. Like I'm not
Exactly.
yucking anyone's yum for East Coast and Gulf oysters.
Yucking anyone's
Yum.
yum.
I
You
heard that
need
the
it.
other day. That's my favorite new
You
thing.
need it. You need it for those Gulf oysters. You need the cracker. You need all the sauces. You need everything because those oysters are shit. I get it.
Yep.
You don't need it for these ones.
Right.
And I'm like trying to explain it. But anyway, so we had just a slew of very much like, maybe you would be rocking a Confederate flag if you were not in Seattle right now.
Don't step on my snake.
It was very much a vibe. And then we had two guys come in, and one of them had a baseball cap, but it was all black, but it had the American flag on it. And so
Oh,
immediately
yeah,
for me, I'm like, red flag. So
cool,
coming back to your point with symbols that have been appropriated. And then his shirt, Sarah came up, or one of my
it Punisher
coworkers
symbol?
came up, and she goes, I can't tell. She goes, is that the flag that is also, wasn't there one that came out during the pandemic that's like black and blue? I go, yeah, it's a Blue Lives Matter flag. And she goes, yeah, what does that mean again? I was like, yeah. So I'd explain to her. She goes, right. And then she goes, well, I wasn't sure, and it's not really clear because it was an all black, American flag. I couldn't really see it.
Yeah.
And then the buddy that he was sitting with on the back had a huge AK-47 on his shirt, and then it was like freezer full of good aim. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun table. And then we turn around, and they had taken themselves out. And I was like, problem has been solved.
Yep.
The Mississippi crew,
on my flight to Kauai,
Yeah, right.
on my
Christ,
flight
yeah.
to
See yourself
Kauai,
out.
I had some guy and I was trying to figure out what his T-shirt. He sat next to me and then he got moved.
Yeah.
But he had a fucking tattooed gun on his hand.
Yeah.
His hand was a gun. I've seen guns tattooed all over the place, but the one that actually makes your hand look like a fucking gun,
Right.
new one on
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But I was trying to size this shit up. I'm just like, really, dude?
I'm like, is
he's
it
also a
ironic?
big fucking meathead. Like, again, not disparaging Aaron, but like of that
yeah,
kind
totally.
of like a big dude. It's like, dude, nobody's fucking treading on you, dude.
Right.
Right.
Oh, speaking of
You
which,
do the treading.
Yeah, you are the treader, my
don't
friend.
tread on me. Okay, so don't tread on me. So y'all know my
tread on me.
relationship with Betty Ford. How much I love this woman.
You love
The
her.
She
crow.
is
The crow lady.
butterfly.
Wasn't
The
the
white
one-
butterflies.
But
Well, no.
butterflies.
What was
lady.
No. But see, you had an anecdote. Was it one of the? You sent an email to somebody. You were like, oh,
Yeah, it was butterflies, not crows.
fuck.
Yeah, but yes, same idea.
close, you're
It was
close.
the author of the book. So she is a champion of women's rights. She fought for the ERA. She's feminist. She's awesome. She's a badass. She had this. She had her own flags made for her car when she was in office. You know how the president has their flags on their limousine. Because I can't remember which women's organization did it, but they had made her own flags, and they were little red bloomers, and it said "Don't tread on me," and it was a symbol for her just championing women's rights, right?
Okay.
So my friend, I recommended the Betty Ford book to her. She read it, called me in tears, was just like, "Now I'm obsessed with Betty Ford too," and I was like, "I know." So she found a shirt online was the reimagining of that flag that she had on her car, and it says "Don't tread on me" with the red bloomers. And I put it on because I was so excited to wear it to work, and I was like, I don't know if I can wear this out, because if I see someone with a "Don't tread on me," I immediately have assumptions
you're not
about their
gonna-
viewpoint,
you're
and
not
they're
gonna
not
get-
going to know the history behind Betty Ford, and
Betty
I'm not
Ford.
going to have I have to put Betty Ford underneath it or something.
right.
But even then, people associate Betty Ford with Republican because Gerald Ford was.
Right.
So they don't understand all of the history behind what an amazing and opposite thinking Republican. Like, she was just
Yeah.
not that person. But it pisses me off
Yeah.
because I love this shirt
she's no
so
Nancy
much.
Reagan.
Oh, don't get me
Nancy
fucking
Reagan.
started on that, cunt.
Hey.
Oh, shots fired.
No,
That was
She
almost
is
like
a
an alley-oop.
Serve and then spike. Yeah, I fucking hate Nancy Reagan. But yeah, so like the American flag, I can't wear anything with the American flag, and if
Right.
that
I mean,
don't
was
tread
that
on-
a fucking huge wardrobe miss? Was I like, oh, okay,
No.
now I can't wear, like,
Well, I
oh,
think-
I guess all my patriotic shit that I didn't wear on
No,
4th of July
But I'm
out.
just saying, when I see that, I see that as a symbol of white supremacy,
Right.
Republican,
Oh, yeah.
conservative. So I don't see that as I'm.
Yeah, there's no
proud-
pride I see.
One of
No,
the
at
one of
all.
the greatest
Any pride when I
see
this
tweets I've ever seen was the American flag is the only flag that you've in the entire world where if somebody wears it, you go, wow, I bet this person's pretty racist.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's totally true.
It is.
Any other country like
Absolutely.
Brazilians wearing
I'm
Brazil
like,
flag,
yeah,
you're like,
fucking right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But here you're like, oh,
racist
Yeah.
motherfucker.
Across the
Even
street.
at the Olympics, when you're like, if people are rocking American flags, I'm like, ew,
Yeah.
ew,
We used
brother,
to,
ew.
yeah. So when Mon and I were together, we would do like 4th of July stuff, and like
Yeah.
they loved the party, they loved to
Yeah.
like theme it out, and so like all the friends would like wear like American
Oh,
flag
fucking
I
dungarees.
hate it.
swimsuits and
I
like
hate it.
all this like ridiculous stuff, and I'm like, I feel
I
uncomfortable.
can't do it. Even when you're
I would
doing
not
it
withstand-
ironically,
Exactly.
I
No,
Even
still
in jest,
can't.
I wouldn't
I'm
mind.
like, what are you supporting?
I've
Yeah,
seen
right.
I've seen a hat not for sale. It's like obviously an old hat, and it's been redone shittily now, mass produced. But there is a hat that just says "back to back World War champions," which also shits
Going
on
for a
all the
three-peat.
other people that helped fight, especially in World War II, that were there for fucking years before we
Keyword
even.
world. Yeah.
Back to back World War champions.
There's an interesting. So there's a book came out a long time ago called Tribe, and I can't remember who wrote it, but there's an interesting part in there where they talk about World War II and one of the effects that they inadvertently found on World War II that World War II had on people, right? So they were looking at this area in Europe that was being heavily bombed during World War II on the Allied side, right? And so what the thing that they noticed was there was a psychiatric hospital in this area that was being bombed heavily, and what happened was the patients in that psychiatric hospital left during the bombings and helped clean up the cities and helped bandage the people that were hurt and helped get food to where it needed to be and basically stopped being mentally ill. And what they're finding was, and what the assumptions was, is like they had a purpose again. They had community. They felt like they belonged.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things that we're finding with psychiatric help right now is like people that are feeling lost. They don't have community. They don't have friends. They don't have relationships.
I would also argue in that time period,
Yep.
most of the people in that psychiatric ward were probably gay.
Yeah, they're probably
loudmouth,
just straight
and
chilling.
don't really
That's
had
a
a mental
very fair
illness.
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
That's a very fair
Straight
point.
chilling.
Yeah, I would.
That's a good point.
I would say about 90% of those people were
Real
put
good
in
point.
for a reason
That's how that started.
were not.
That's how
That
Legit.
they weren't actually
Yeah.
mentally ill.
Well,
for
see,
it. That's
actually,
a really
yes,
good
yes,
point. That's a really
community,
good
but-
point.
Actually, distinction
Yeah.
there being in this one with this being in an allied place versus like an occupied Nazi place.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh, we were
started
doing it
with-
here.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
I know,
it
but
don't
wasn't-
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's what kind of scares me is that we can still get to that point. Like there was, did you hear about the lead singer of the Four Tops? All right,
don't know the Four
I don't
Tops.
remember the guy's name, but
Sugar Pie Honey Bunch.
yeah.
huh?
So the lead singer of the Four Tops just recently he checked himself into the hospital because he was having some like health issues, and while he was being checked out by the doctor, they were like, "Oh yeah, so conversation. What do you do?" He's like, "Oh, my blah blah blah. I'm the lead singer of the Four Tops," and they're like, "Oh, okay." Checked him in the psych ward against his will. They were like,
You got
"Oh,
5150? That's what that is.
I don't know what that is."
5150 is being
Van Halen
yeah, it's it's a joke in the mentally ill community.
Yeah.
Just don't be 5150. It's being able to be checked in against your will.
Yeah, so just
No
because he
shit.
said that he was the lead singer of the Four Tops, they were like, "Oh, that's special, old man." Somebody called the psych ward. Let's get a straight
Oh,
jacket.
like they
We're getting
didn't
him
believe.
over.
I was like,
they
why
didn't
did
believe
they
him.
do
No,
that?
they didn't believe him.
Oh, they thought,
They
you're
thought he was
living in a
psychotic.
fantasy.
Yeah, and so
okay.
they checked him into the psych ward. It took him like almost a day to finally figure all this out and get somebody down there that was like, "No." I think it was he showed the admitting doctor.
Nurse couldn't have Googled it.
No, they didn't believe him. They had no desire to try to believe him. Read the story; it's really interesting. It was the admitting doctor that he was finally like, "Look at YouTube, look at
I was just
my
gonna say,
website, look at something that I can prove this."
Pre-internet, I might have been able to be like, okay, but like the fact that it's like, oh, if someone, even at the restaurant, when people are
Right.
like, oh, I'm like, when Madness came in, I was like, oh, let me Google this real quick, and that's all it would have taken. Like,
Right.
is this guy crazy or is he? Oh, yep, he is.
Nope.
Like that's all it would have taken.
So when they finally figured this out, they let him go, obviously, and they were like, "We're so sorry. Here's a $25 gift card."
Fuck
A
you.
$25 gift
Ya
card
cunts.
for admitting this human. And the what scares me is that is still an applicable thing.
Yeah.
We don't think you're mentally sane. I don't care who you are, what you do, where you've been, what support you have. You're going into our mental ward
'Cause
because
that's easier.
that's what we feel is best. So like I can have different views. I could wander outside in a big fucking hero's journey.
Yeah.
Like I've actually had a friend when we were in high school. We had this big acid party at our house, and
Nice.
and we were sitting there in the living room, and all of a sudden like this kid just runs out of the front door, and we didn't see him again. like for days. I didn't see this kid for days, and he's like one of the homies, right? And so finally, and we don't have cell phones, like we had parents and shit, right? I'm not calling this dude's fucking mom and be like, hey, your son was on a bunch of acid and then ran out of the house, and I'm really worried about Joe. Where's he at? So it turns out Joe came back like 3 days later, and he was taking a piss in the bathroom on a heavy dose of acid. Couldn't figure out why fluids was leaving his body. Freaked out, drove himself to the hospital. Now he voluntarily checked himself in, but when he did, he was on massive amounts of acid. So they kept him in the psych ward for 3 days.
Yeah.
So he finally sobered up.
That's why I lie to doctors when I'm like, how are you doing? I'm like, great. Thank
Fantastic.
you. I'm just fine.
I forgot about, I was looking up this guy when we were talking about guys that were, so this guy is kind of known as the American Van Gogh. It took me a while to find this guy.
Okay.
His name's Ralph Blakelock, and I guess he was a fucking impressionist painter and shit, did all this stuff, had mental shit, checked himself in, and was like, hey, I'm a big deal painter. Like, all right, you crazy fuck, what the fuck? It's like, no.
Painter? Who's a painter anymore?
Like, my shit's kind of a big deal. It's like, no, that's not.
Man, that's fucking crazy.
Not if you're here, they're not.
Yeah. I just had one thing on the machine gun hand. So there's been a big string of like, I've seen a lot of like anime, where they'll have like a Dragon Ball Z character like on their wrist, and then the hand
the
there's like
fist.
reaching out.
Yeah,
it's
like Street
kaboom,
Fighter.
I've seen that
Street
one. That's
Fighter.
sick. Yeah.
And mainly it's on the left hand because most people are right-handed. But I've been seeing a lot more God representations of that now, where like
on the
you'll
cross,
have
I've seen that.
God, and then the hand on the cross, or like the Buddy Christ or something like that. So the picture I saw was like this kid had done that, got it on, but he got it on his right hand. And it was like the God here, and then the God's hand, and the caption was like, "What do you do when you masturbate? Like, what do you think about when you masturbate? Is God giving you a handy? Is God rubbing one out for you?" And I'm like,
There are only two footprints in the sand when I jack off because
That's a good
God
point.
was on my wrist.
No, silly. I was jacking
I
you
was
off.
there with you.
I was there with you during those
We
hard
finished
times.
together.
Oh my God. Through all those hard times.
And may
Christ
jack off
climax.
also be with you. Yeah.
if Jack helped you on a horse,
Yeah.
did you help Jack off a horse?
I asked
That was
someone
my
at work
favorite.
I literally asked somebody that at work, I think it was like last week, and then a week before that, I still don't even get an answer. Friend Jack is stuck on a horse, like it'll be unrelated. Hey, did you run that food? I'm like, hey, if your friend Jack was stuck on a horse.
No wonder the kitchen's running so slow.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I don't fucking.
You're not helping him.
God damn.
God's sake.
Oh my God, I fucking love it. Oh man. Well, anything else on? Well, I mean, we could go on forever.
Yeah.
There's like the
Crosses,
Masters tournaments.
those
There's the
trigger
master
me.
bedroom.
Can't
and
do-
like
yeah.
all kinds of shit. I think it's like as we're like discovering this stuff, like you said, Kinsey, like, a lot of this stuff is so far removed from the origin point of what it actually meant. It's like, as you learn that Jingle Bells was a very racist song that talks about dragging black people through the snow. As you learn about shit like that, right? Yeah, Jingle Bells is a very racist song. Like, if you listen to the subsequent verses of Jingle Bells.
Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin laid an egg.
Yeah, that's a great version.
That's about,
Yeah.
oh boy.
So I mean, like, but it's like, when I learned Hobby Lobby was supporting, fixing gay people, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, or Chick-fil-A and all
Chick-fil-A,
that
shit like that, right?
There's something you can actively do.
Yeah, it's like I don't shop there. But I don't boycott them either, right? I'm not
Yeah.
like trying to be that kind of person. Like, again, like this is a big fucking world.
There are more options in Hobby Lobby for what you
100%.
need. So if you have another choice, choose something else.
Yeah. So if you get triggered by somebody saying the master bedroom and they're not meaning it in like some overtly racist way, and that bothers you, just say the big room. Right? Find your own way to approach it, right? But that's cool. But I think what really kind of gets me right now is like as we start to uncover this stuff, and I think this is what really kind of puts the wedge immediately into the conversation is we expect the things to change immediately.
Yeah.
And we expect minds to be changed immediately. And sometimes people don't see the folly in like walking past a bronze statue of a horse with a guy on it, not knowing that was a very Confederate person or killed a bunch of black people, was involved in multiple mutilations, whatever stuff like that. They're just having their coffee walking down the street. Right. And so maybe they give two shits about that. But if you're passionate about that, don't expect that person to share that same passion. But like, find your way through it.
But
right?
that person that's walking past is uneducated on the thing. Like, I always enjoy information. So anytime I can know about the history of something or a phrase or a word or a symbol or whatever, I always want to know, and then I can make my choice of whether I want to continue supporting a business or if I want to continue using that phrase or if it bothers me enough that I don't want to do that. Like that, having that information at least gives me an option.
Right.
So I think information is always a great thing to have, but
if
like,
you want it. 'Cause
right.
a lot of those folks a lot of people don't have the space for that.
Yeah.
You know, life is already too busy. Life is crazy. Right?
Yeah.
We're going from here to there. People have multiple jobs. They have multiple kids. Kids do shit. We're driving people there to there. Blah blah blah. It's like, okay, cool. Race the statue. I ain't got time for that. I got 10 kids to get to fucking soccer practice.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like I think that's where it goes down to. It's like be passionate about what you're passionate about, but like it's hard to force people to share your passion, even if they have the information. They might not have the brain space
so many
for
fucks
it.
you can give too.
There
you
is,
can,
really,
you can
totally.
Be like, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like, where do you draw the line on when it's not important when versus what is important? So like the big thing now is pronouns for everybody,
Right?
And are we really gonna waste time on having new pronouns? So it's that same mentality of like, I don't have enough space to think about that. And this is important versus maybe this long time no see kind of thing that's been really far removed, and maybe we could use a different phrase, but we're not using it in a nefarious way. We're not using it in a hateful way. It's just a phrase.
Right.
Versus that same mentality of like, I'm just going to call you whatever I'm going to fucking call you because you're
fair,
fucking,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
because I don't believe in that. And like, there's active against...
it's kind of like it takes more muscles to smile than to frown.
Yeah, isn't it
It's
just
like, or
easier?
you can, you know, or when I've fucked up misgendering someone, not on purpose, but
Sure.
fucked up, it's like, oh, my bad, sorry. Like, it's much easier to do that than for me to be like, whoa, this shit's confusing, as a guy who's been called female more than male his entire fucking life.
Yeah, I believe
This is
it.
the only time
Yeah.
in which I can actually weigh in on this. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, actually,
Well, I think
I'm being an asshole, but I got
Yeah.
a point.
I think part of that might be our ego. Like we don't want to be wrong.
We
Yeah.
don't want to be
wanna-
checked.
Yeah, we
It's
want to be checked.
embarrassed.
Well, but
So
I mean,
I'm
it's
gonna
like I
double
don't
down.
know shit. Like I know some shit, but it's like.
But you're okay with that. Some
Yeah,
people are
that's-
very
yeah,
some people are
that's-
very
yeah,
staunch in
you know.
their quote unquote beliefs.
Yeah.
I grew up under this belief system. Okay, people
I'm not
die
gonna
for their
I
fucking
grew up
beliefs.
thinking a
like,
lot of
right?
stupid shit too.
Yeah.
I grew up a lot of stupid
Right.
shit, and my lens got fucking wider and wider and wider, and it's like, oh fuck.
I grew up with parents telling me that black people have extra bones in their foot, and then I
Yeah, I hadn't
found
heard that
out,
one.
like, and I was like,
found out,
oh
like,
yeah,
last
I'm not gonna
weekend.
probably
Yeah, yeah.
continue that train of thought as an adult.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's as we get older, we can start to look at that and say discernment of what these things that we believe. But I think it's like getting into the practice of having that check, right? Because a lot of people that I work with that have come to see me are getting to the point to where they can't ignore that question, that check anymore, because they've been able to. They've been able to be in a society where everybody else was moving in that direction, so they didn't have to really listen to that voice in the back of their head that was like putting their hand up saying, are we really doing this to this class of people or this race of people or this style of work?
White
or whatever
people
it
never
is?
had to be checked.
Right. And now it's like, that check is coming in and people are like, well, wow, that's a interesting perspective, right? And some people are ready for that perspective shift, and other people aren't.
Shit out
Yeah.
of a lot of people.
Yeah,
Because
it
like
does.
those are the idea that there's a game that I figured out, right? And it's like I think we
A
talked
game
about
that
this last
benefits
week.
me, and I see how it doesn't benefit other people.
Exactly.
So if I remove myself from being the top player in this game, I might be treated like these other people
It's
that
like
have not been
student loans.
benefited
Like
from
people
this.
get pissed off about student loans because they had to pay theirs off.
Yeah. But I think this is well, this is like I dealt with it, so you have to deal with it kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? And it's like that we're far past that, right?
Or I've never had to deal with this, and I'm going to continue not having to deal with it.
Well, I think part of the issue that we're having with a lot of this, like this anger that can't be described, is that you're having people that are supposed to be quote unquote benefiting from a system that have never benefited from the system, but think they haven't, but they actually have. But are now just realizing there's a system they could be benefiting from that they're clearly not. So now the confusion is just like, I don't know what the fuck to do, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the anger that's happening right now in the world is just confusion. Like not just confusion, but it's like subconsciously this world was moving in a direction. Like last week we talked about, is society set up for neurotypical people? Like is our capitalistic society set up for neurotypical people that can say, hey, I'm going to do best for me and I don't really care about you. I'm I'm sorry. But we're going to try to do like turn our blind eyes to things and just like move forward with society. It is neurodivergence finally like, hey, I don't want to do work all the time, and I don't want to be a part of your fucking hate group, and I don't think that one gender is better or worse than the other, right? It's like, what the fuck is going on here with this? And it's like, these are honest, like pretty black and white fucking questions, which is probably a fucking racist term also, right? You know, that just, you know, right? You know,
tipping point, deadline also.
Right.
Deadline is one, tipping point is another.
Yep.
And it's like, those are used every single
Did
day.
the Roots fucking know that when they released their album?
Yes.
Probably.
100%.
Yeah.
Tipping point?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, things falling apart. Yeah, okay,
It was on theme with there,
yeah, that one, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Undone.
They
things
knew
fall
exactly
apart,
what they
I
were
guess
doing.
my point is that
The
to
Roots
me,
are allowed to have
to
the
me
tipping
that
point.
was just a fucking album by the Roots up until now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Or a fucking
like Beyonce, Genius Hiding in Plain
wasn't
Sight. They were
Tipping
saying
Point a
something.
conservative talk show on fucking one of those channels for a while? Might
not
be
sure.
Turning Point.
I don't know.
I
think it was
Sure.
Turning.
Whatever. That's good radio speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah, speculation. Yeah, well, fuck it anyways.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
All right. Well, do your research. Make things that make sense in your life.
Make your own choices and just,
Yeah.
fucking
There you go.
don't tread on me.
Yeah.
You cunts.
Yeah. Betty Ford, don't
Betty
tread
Ford
on me,
forever!
bitches.